Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. More than 500 days after Luo Feng secluded himself, a figure in a grey robe entered Huyang City through the southern city gate. Finally, I've arrived at Huyang City. The grey-robed figure flew leisurely, habitually enveloping himself in his small cosmic domain, making him undetectable by the city owner's mansion's constant surveillance, and other nearby cultivators. Accustomed to taking on assassination missions, he was used to concealing his presence. This is the border of Yu Kingdom. As a border city, Huyang is much more prosperous than the average large city. The grey-robed figure, having seen and known much, noticed that in terms of size, number of cultivators, and liveliness, Huyang City ranked high among the large cities he had visited. Suddenly, boom! A colossal flying treasure streaked across the sky at high speed, churning the air and disturbing the surroundings. Quick, get out of the way. Stay far away. Some of the ordinary true gods piloting flying treasures hurriedly evaded, and even some true gods of void space had no choice but to dodge to the side. In Huyang City, those who dare to charge around so recklessly are usually descendants of powerful families with some background. According to the rules of Huyang City, only murder is considered a serious crime. A mere collision caused by a flying treasure will hardly be severely punished. At most, they'll find some primal chaos crystals. The many cultivators were helpless. Within the colossal flying treasure were a number of guards, 6 merry descendants from prominent families drinking, and musicians playing music. How's my musician? Not inferior to those at the Dream Flower Pavilion, right? One of the descendants laughed heartily. At that moment, unseen, the source of law was subtly manipulated, altering the laws within the range of the flying treasure. All beings, those prominent descendants, the serving servants, the musicians, the surrounding guards, silently crumbled into dust and scattered into the world. The colossal flying treasure, no longer steered by divine power, drew an arc across the sky and crashed onto the formation of a distant cave mansion. It was blocked by the formation and fell to the street outside the mansion, causing a stir among the many cultivators. That almost hit me. The grey-robed figure flew past, glancing at the distant colossal flying treasure, defying one's superiors deserves death. For him, snuffing out a group of weaklings was but a mere thought. The grey-robed figure continued to fly leisurely, indifferent to the incident. Such occurrences were common in his lengthy life. He was used to snuffing out any who slightly provoked him during his assassination missions in different cities. Since he always concealed his form and there wasn't any past interaction, it was impossible for officials to identify the murderer. Huff! By the sight of the crashed colossal flying treasure, patrols of Huyang guards rushed over. To think these descendants of great families were killed in broad daylight. The arriving Huyang guards were both shocked and angry as they carefully inspected the flying treasure. Rumble tilde tilde tilde, a giant scale-covered exotic beast with 3 swords on its back, broke through the sky. Commander! The surrounding Huyang guards saluted respectfully. The giant black-scaled, sword-bearing exotic beast bore a figure on its head, none other than Gao Wu Shui, the favored youngest disciple of Commander Mo Li Xiao. Now, Gao Wu Shui had a significantly stronger aura, and was already an eternal true god. I received the message that, including descendants of the Tsumeng royal family, a total of 6 major family descendants perished instantaneously, and all the accompanying servants and guards also died. Gao Wu Shui looked down. Have you found anything at the scene? Reporting to the commander, there's no trace, nor any energy fluctuations from an attack, reported a captain of the Huyang guards. To achieve this without a sound, the perpetrator must be an eternal true god. Gao Wushui stood on top of the three-sword-bearing exotic beast, gazing at the crashed flying treasure, while his small cosmic domain naturally enveloped the area for a thorough inspection. Killing without a trace, yet the treasures belonging to the victims remain inside the flying boat. Clearly, the murderer looks down on these trinkets, Gao Wushui frowned. The one who acted must be an eternal true god. With a profound accumulation of experience, he had recently made a breakthrough to become an eternal true god. Because of his master, Commander Mo Li Xiao's favor, he immediately became one of the top 10 commanders of the Huyang Guards. Currently, he was piloting one of the Huyang Guard's top 10 mechanical treasures, the three-sword sky-splitting beast. Compared to Huyang's 10 great legions, the overall strength of the Huyang Guards was significantly weaker, and the power of their legion-class treasures was also much lesser. The three-sword sky-splitting beast only required one eternal true god, and 3,000 true gods of void space to operate. The city owner's mansion has reviewed the city-wide surveillance, but found no trace of the murderer. Gao Wushui shook his head. If that eternal true god is very cautious, the city owner's mansion won't be able to track them down. Investigate, find a way to check every trace, and find out who dared to attack and kill our family's descendants. Investigate, whoever dares to kill a descendant of the Jiang clan must be thoroughly identified. The 6 descendants of prominent families who died were from 2 of the 5 great families, including a descendant of the Tsuming royal family and one from the Jiang clan. Naturally, the city owner's mansion mobilized its best investigators to scour for clues, but in the short term, no discoveries were made. The deaths of these family descendants mattered little, as over the long years, the members of royal families like Tsuming had become uncountable. Those in Huyang City were merely an inconspicuous branch of the Tsuming royal family. It seems the descendants of prominent families I've killed were quite ordinary. The grey-robed figure flew casually within Huyang City. So much time has passed, and still no powerful beings have tracked me down. Clearly, the city owner's mansion has not employed divination to find me. The grey-robed figure pondered. He was accustomed to assassinations and had tried every method to conceal the cause and effect, making it challenging to trace him through it. Divination was a more feasible approach, albeit at a high price. He was capricious, striking whenever he wished, and had even crushed to death the child of a primal chaos overlord. That incident indeed caused great trouble. Fortunately, that primal chaos overlord had over 300 children, and the death of one did not lead to a particularly strong pursuit force being sent after him. This allowed him to escape the predicament with the life-saving techniques from his legacy. And that was how he ended up fleeing to the Yu Kingdom. In the Yu Kingdom, he remained unchanged, killing as he pleased. I wish to purchase all information on Luo He, the eternal true god. The grey-robed figure flew mid-air, contacting via the Dark Hall's transmission order. All information on Luo He is worth 100 cosmic sand. Do you confirm the purchase? The Dark Hall replied. Purchase. The figure in the grey robe didn't care about the price, knowing that intelligence also has its levels, with higher levels being more expensive. And all intelligence is even pricier. Fortunately, the Flame Wind Pavilion didn't have much knowledge about Luo Feng, so the pricing of this intelligence was not too high. Yin Kang, deduct 100 cosmic sand. You still have 829,200 cosmic sand remaining in the Dark Hall, the Dark Hall responded. Saw the Notefire.et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Does your Huyang city have a bounty for Luo He? The figure in the grey robe asked, not having found any through the transmission token. There is no bounty, the Dark Hall responded. The figure in the grey robe was quite displeased and turned off the transmission token. The intelligence from the Flame Wind Pavilion is rather detailed. The figure in the grey robe also saw an image showing Luo Feng with 6 pairs of golden wings unfurled behind him, surrounded by the primal chaos current. Based on the image, Luo, his 6 pairs of wings closely resemble the primal chaos golden wings from the mechanical stream secret treasure. Judging from the battle traces, his clash with the Blood Python Association leader shows he holds an absolute advantage, highly likely having grasped moves from the primal chaos realm. This detailed intelligence also contained some conjectures. The intelligence from the Flame Wind Pavilion had mostly figured it out. However, since the perfect divine body had not appeared in the land of origin before, the Flame Wind Pavilion did not consider this possibility. Thus, naturally, there were deviations in their conjecture. Grasped moves from the primal chaos realm. The figure in the grey robe was unconcerned. Among the pinnacle existences of the eternal true gods, with their innate talents and understanding of the primal chaos laws, even without fully comprehending all the primal chaos laws, it's possible to occasionally grasp certain killing moves. No matter how high the comprehension, a godly body struck by a blow must die, the figure in the grey robe pondered. According to the intelligence, he should be in secluded cultivation within his cave mansion right now. The most cautious time is during seclusion. I must wait for the opportunity, for the moment he lets down his guard the most, to launch a surprise attack. Flame Wind Pavilion. Pavilion Master, Yinkang has come to Huyang City. He just purchased the information on Luo He through the Dark Hall. The Deputy Pavilion Master walked up to the burly man. He's come to Huyang City. It seems that the one who murdered the 6 major family descendants today is this Yinkang, the burly man said with a smile. It's just a pity that this information can't be sold, the Deputy Pavilion Master also said with a smile. The rules of the Flame Wind Pavilion were harsh. If they learned about the secrets of a customer through other channels, they could naturally sell it as intelligence. However, if it was information about a transaction between the customer and the Flame Wind Pavilion, it was absolutely forbidden to be leaked. For instance, the information of Luo Feng purchasing artifact refiner materials worth 700,000 cosmic sand a while ago, the Flame Wind Pavilion would never divulge it. Transactions must be kept confidential. The operation of the entire Flame Wind Pavilion was monitored by a spirit formation, and even as the Pavilion Master or Deputy Pavilion Master, they dared not break the rules. He purchased the information on Luo He, probably to deal with Luo He, the Deputy Pavilion Master suggested. I've always been unable to see through Luo He. Perhaps this Yinkang can figure out his details, the burly man stated. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Time passed, and before one knew it, Luo Feng had been in seclusion for over 1,200 days, with the second layer of the Primal Chaos Great Strength diagram nearly complete. The first seclusion took more than an epoch, mainly because the growth of the godly body to its pinnacle took a long time. The actual body refinement process wasn't very long. This second time, Luo Feng focused only on body refinement, so naturally it was faster. At this moment, in the underground hall of the 913th cave mansion in Primal Chaos armor. Within the Star Tower, Luo Feng's towering, immense godly body of 18 billion kilometers had already taken shape. The vast materials piled in the distance began to levitate, naturally starting to melt, and then merged into the towering godly body. After fusing into the godly body, Luo Feng also dispatched numerous thoughts to record the dense formation diagrams. The first body refinement just barely laid the foundation, it was relatively crude in all aspects. Now, the secret treasure structure is much more refined. Luo Feng could sense the process coming to successful completion, feeling extremely clear. His own godly body was an ultra-large weapon secret treasure. The might of a 18 billion kilometers tall weapon secret treasure was imaginable. The previous body refinement was rough, relying purely on size and the principle of break laws with force to have such power. But now it was much more refined, and the power of the godly body was naturally much more terrifying. Vaz tilde tilde tilde. As the body refinement throughout was completed, Luo Feng felt an innate pleasure, each gesture, and each action now possessing several times more power than before. Even flexibility and speed had undergone a qualitative improvement. I've arrived in the land of origin, and am still in a period of strength improvement, Luo Feng said with a smile. Those top-tier eternal true gods generally have cultivated every aspect to the limit, with their blood lineage reaching the 10 stages of the eternal realm, and their secret techniques reaching the limits of the eternal level. For them, progress is extremely difficult. Luo Feng's primal chaos great strength diagram at the eternal level consists of 3 stages, and he had now only finished the second. For the world-breaking 9 blades at the eternal level with 6 blade techniques, he had only mastered 3. For godly king level Dharma like Duan Mie and Dong Hua, progress was even slower, and for the Lai Yuan technique, the progress was the slowest, meant to be contemplated and enhanced over epochs of time. I'll go out for a walk to clear my mind. His mood jubilant from the successful second body refinement, Luo Feng quickly gathered the Star Tower and left the underground hall alone. With a single thought, Luo Feng found the cave mansion eerily quiet. Morosa and Moyu Qingyang had not yet returned. Following Luo Feng's transmission, Morosa and Moyu Qingyang both quickly rushed towards the cave mansion. Master, your retreat this time was far too short. Morosa returned first, alighting nearby with some dissatisfaction. The carefree and comfortable days were too fleeting. Luo Feng glanced at him. The duration of a retreat naturally varies. Do you still have enough cosmic sand on you? Master understands me, said Morosa, smiling generously. Indeed, I'm almost out. Use it sparingly. Luo Feng tossed over an ink jade bottle. Catching the ink jade bottle, Morosa examined the contents and found over 100 cosmic sand and several piles of primal chaos crystals. His smile brightened considerably. Master is truly benevolent. There is no one more benevolent than Master in the whole Huyang city. All right, no more flattery. Luo Feng smiled. He had forbidden Morosa from causing trouble, and without any income, Morosa needed some pocket money. At this moment, Moyu Qingyang also returned, piloting his small flying boat. Stowing it away, he flew swiftly to Luo Feng and bowed respectfully. Master. This period must have been quite enjoyable for you as well, Morosa said from the side. Many forces took the initiative to befriend me, and certainly, forces have done the same with you. Yes. Moyu Qingyang replied respectfully. During Master's retreat, some powers within Huyang City were unable to visit you, Master, so they came to befriend me. I rejected and ignored many, but I dared not refuse the 13 major forces, and I accepted the gifts they gave me. The total value adds up to about 300 cosmic sand. After all, he was just a servant, and the gifts from each power were not too costly, but given Luo Feng's status, those major forces had to give at least 10 cosmic sand each. Qingyang has gathered so much. You must have received even more, right? Luo Feng looked at Morosa. Just now you said you were almost out. Morosa smiled generously, accepting the gifts, and as for the favors they requested, he pushed them all away cleanly. You know, Master, living expenses in Huyang City are somewhat considerable. Did they give you these gifts under any pretense or for favors? Luo Feng asked. Nothing at all. Morosa said. I just gave them a transmission token imprint. In case of any issues, they could contact me, and I could report their requests to you, Master. I also didn't agree to anything. Just provided a way to send messages. Moyu Qingyang added, however, Brother Zhu from the Zhu clan, an eternal true god, asked me to convey a message. He wishes to host you, Master. Luo Feng nodded. The Zhu clan is indeed the largest indigenous family in Huyang City. It might be worth meeting them. Shall I inform Divine Monarch Zhu Yu? Moyu Qingyang asked. Yes. Luo Feng nodded. Moyu Qingyang immediately contacted Juyu with the transmission token, and soon after, said, Master, Divine Monarch, Juyu has invited you to meet tonight, at the Dream Flower Tower. I haven't visited the Dream Flower Tower in a while. Luo Feng nodded, accept his invitation. While Luo Feng emerged from his retreat, Gao Wu Shui went to visit his master Moli Xiao in the Moli clan. How have you been progressing with the three-sword sky-splitting beast? Moli Xiao looked at his favorite young disciple. The three-sword sky-splitting beast, truly an eternal level mechanical flow secret treasure. I've only just barely managed to perform all the maneuvers of the three-sword sky-splitting beast, after my studies, Gao Wu Shui replied. Moli Xiao nodded at his reply, your will is extraordinary, and you are also adept at formations. Just a short while after becoming an eternal true god, you have completely mastered all the maneuvers of the three-sword sky-splitting beast. I indeed did not misjudge you. Master, as a newly promoted eternal true god, I was appointed as one of the 10 commanders of the Huyang guards. Many eternal true gods are dissatisfied with this, Gao Wu Shui said in a low voice. The 10 generals of the Huyang Legion, and the 10 commanders of the Huyang guards, were all capable of leading a legion-level mechanical flow treasure. Moli Xiao himself led one of the legions. Thus, there were only 19 coveted spots available. Strength represented power, as well as resources. The competition for the 19 lucrative positions was fierce. Eternal true gods from the 5 great families themselves, along with those attached to the 5 great families, amounted to over 100 eternal true gods. One can imagine how fierce the competition was. For Gao Wu Shui, a newly advanced eternal true god, snagging one spot naturally attracted the dissatisfaction of many eternal true gods. Don't bother with those losers, Moli Xiao said indifferently. A legion-level mechanical flow treasure also depends on who operates it. Like me, leading one legion, I can suppress the collective effort of the other 9 legions. At the level of a true god of void space, your spiritual will reach the pinnacle of an eternal true god. And you excel at formations, you're naturally suited to operate mechanical flow treasures. Once you've accumulated enough experience, I will find an opportunity for you to command one of the Huyang's 10 great legions. Commander Huyang Legion. Gao Wu Shui was surprised and felt the pressure. Huyang's 10 great legions are far more important than the Huyang guards. The difficulty of controlling mechanical flow treasures is even higher. You must have sufficient experience, and it would be best if your spiritual will could break through to the primal chaos dominator level. Then the entire city owner's mansion will not object to you leading a legion, Moli Xiao advised. Gao Wu Shui nodded, I understand. His spiritual will had reached the level of an eternal true god, when he was just a true god of void space. As for the breakthrough to the level of the primal chaos overlord, Gao Wu Shui was indeed determined and eager. Go on. Moli Xiao nodded. Out of the many subordinates and disciples he had cultivated, Gao Wu Shui was the most suitable for operating mechanical flow treasures, which was why Moli Xiao nurtured him extensively. Gao Wu Shui respectfully excused himself. Walking through a garden in the Moli clan's cave mansion, where Moli Feiyun and Jerong Qi had been waiting, they immediately intercepted him. Senior brother Gao Wu. Moli Feiyun called out. Gao Wu Shui had no choice but to stop, feeling quite troubled. Having her trained as an eternal true god, he had yet to dabble in romantic relationships. Due to the bloodline cultivation system in the land of origin, most life forms were flesh and blood and could indeed reproduce. However, on the land of origin, life forms generally had very long lifespans, with true gods living for 30,000 epochs, and those of the level of true god of void space and beyond having virtually unlimited lifespans. They did not need to eat or drink, surviving simply by absorbing the power of heaven and earth. Many cultivators had no plans to seek partners. Gao Wu Shui was just like that. Cultivation was filled with endless delights. Why need a wife? Fei Yun, Gao Wu Shui could only give a forced smile. He couldn't afford to neglect Moli Fei Yun, given the grace his master had shown him in training. Today just happens to be the day I've met senior brother Gao Wu. How about we go out and have some fun together? Moli Fei Yun's mind was all on Gao Wu Shui. Commander Gao Wu, Fei Yun almost speaks your name every day, Jiang Qi said with a laugh on the side. In my opinion, you might as well move to the Moli family. That way, you can see each other every day. Yes, move to our place. We have more than 10 eternal true gods living in our household, plenty of room, Moli Fei Yun said. Just as Gao Wu Shui was about to speak, a young member of the Moli family flew over from a distance, scrutinizing Gao Wu Shui, Commander Gao Wu Shui. Young Master Moli Lian, Gao Wu Shui said with a smile. Moli Lian, what are you here for? Moli Fei Yun asked dissatisfiedly. Moli Lian scoffed. The Moli clan was also quite large, and Moli Lian was a young genius of his generation, personally mentored by Moli Xiao, and was regarded as a hopeful to become an eternal true god. But Gao Wu Shui was Moli Xiao's favorite disciple. Moli Lian had always treated Gao Wu Shui as a rival, and now that Gao Wu Shui had become an eternal true god first, and had been promoted to one of the 10 commanders of the Huyang Guards, Moli Lian was naturally envious and jealous. Commander Gao Wu Shui detests evil as if it were a personal enemy. I do admire that, Moli Lian said with a flip of his hand, tossing a golden pebble. This memory stone records the evidence of the sins of Mei Wu Qi, from the Mei Wu family. The evil of Mei Wu Qi, even those dark forces are nowhere near his match. I wonder how Commander Gao Wu Shui will deal with this monstrous criminal. Moli Lian. Moli Fei Yun berated, Mei Wu Qi is an eternal true god of the 5 great families Mei Wu family. If there is to be a trial, it should be the 5 great families who conduct it. There's no need for the Huyang Guards to intervene. According to the laws of Yu Kingdom, the Huyang Guards are responsible for dealing with illegal activities within Huyang City. I'd like to see if Gao Wu Shui really detests evil as much as he claims to, sneered Moli Lian. Search *the ovalfire.et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Gao Wu Shui received the memory stone and investigated with his divine power. The information he accessed changed his expression slightly. Are these accusations true? Gao Wu Shui looked toward Moli Lian. You're telling me that when the common city Fangzhou City was breached by a horde of exotic beasts, countless citizens died or were injured, and you say billions of true gods were taken into his sinful city? Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture had 3 large cities and 189 ordinary cities. The presence of eternal true gods within ordinary cities was rare, making them much less secure. You've only just become an eternal true god. If you were older, you'd slowly come to know, Moli Lian shook his head. Mei Wu Qi, to show off, took many young members of the 5 great families into his secret treasure sinful city. Quite a few youths from the 5 great families have seen it with their own eyes. The billions of true gods from Fangzhou City, they are just a part of the sinful citizens of the sinful city. Of course, most of the citizens captured into the sinful city have long been tortured and played to death, Moli Lian scoffed. Such a figure of sin, Commander Gao Wu Shui, what do you plan to do? Gao Wu Shui said nothing and walked away. Detests evil like an enemy. I'd like to see how he really faces off against Mei Wu Qi, of the Mei Wu family. Moli Lian watched him leave, full of contempt. Moli Lian, what exactly are you trying to do? Moli Fei Yun couldn't believe it. Don't you see? I'm just stirring the pot, setting Gao Wu Shui against Mei Wu Qi, Mo Li Lian stated. Whether one or the other falls, it would delight me. I'm going to tell father about this, Mo Li Feiyan said. Suit yourself. Mo Li Lian turned and walked away. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The night fell. Luo Feng, accompanied by Morosa and Moyu Qingyang, arrived at the Dream Flower Tower. Brother Luo He, Zhuyu had been waiting for some time. Brother Zhuyu has arrived quite early, Luo Feng said. Ha ha, having the chance to host Brother Luo He, of course, I should come early. I have arranged everything for the banquet, please, Zhuyu said with a laugh. His hair was like little snakes, his face adorned with green secret patterns, but his smile was brilliant. Luo Feng and Zhuyu flew together, their servants and attendants following behind. The Zhu clan have been rooted in Huyang City for over a million eras, passing down from generation to generation until now. There are hardly any secrets in Huyang City that our Zhu clan isn't aware of, Zhuyu said with a smile. In terms of being well informed, the Flame Wind Pavilion, the city owner's mansion, Sha Kingdom's forces. At least within Huyang City, they probably all fall a bit short compared to our Zhu clan. Luo Feng nodded, this he actually believed. The Zhu clan was too vast, having infiltrated every industry in Huyang City, including high-ranking experts in the Huyang Legion and the Huyang Guards. Who within Huyang City doesn't know of the Zhu clan's reputation? Luo Feng remarked. Lord Luo He, Divine Monarch Zhu Yu, the Dream Flower Tower Master personally greeted them. She needed to survive in Huyang City, and she couldn't afford to offend either of the two before her. Shall I call for some music, Divine Monarch Zhu Yu? Zhu Yu didn't even look at the Dream Flower Tower Master, instead, he smiled at Luo Feng. As long as Brother Luo He wishes to listen, I believe the Dream Flower Tower Master will definitely oblige. It depends on whether Lord Luo He wants to listen or not, the Dream Flower Tower Master said with a light smile. Zhu Yu gave an order, and the Dream Flower Tower Master couldn't refuse. It's not necessary, just let Araya come, Luo Feng said. The Dream Flower Tower Master was taken aback for a moment, then smiled. Lord Luo He truly favors Araya. It's because the Tower Master's illusion techniques are too powerful. I can't bear them, Luo Feng said with a smile. Then hurry and have Araya come over, Zhu Yu beckoned, leading Luo Feng forward as they continued to fly. The Dream Flower Tower Master looked on in silence. Zhu Yu, though seemingly very friendly to Luo Feng, was responsible for handling many affairs of the Zhu clan. The city owner's mansion and Sha Kingdom's forces had to give him some face, and the 18 Dark Forces wouldn't dare to be enemies with the Zhu clan. Since that last time, Luo He has been unwilling to listen to my illusionary melody. The Dream Flower Tower Master felt somewhat disappointed. She longed to influence Luo He more than Shong Qianyang or Sang Shuiyun did. This video will end here.